Hey guys, welcome to another video and thanks for clicking on this one. In this video, I want us to talk about the Marcus by Goldman Sachs High Yield Savings Account. The reason why I'm bringing this to you right now is because it might be time to look at where you are in terms of how much you have in a high yield savings account and think of other opportunities that may be better. Okay. Today's Saturday, it's the 27th of September, and the year is coming to an end. A lot of times we've set certain goals to maybe save certain amounts if possible, and we've maybe reached those goals, and now it's time to think about, okay, what can I do with the excess money outside of, let's say, your emergency fund or something that you've saved towards. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thanks for clicking on this one. So let's talk about this. All right. The first thing I want you to get to understand is that, everyone's situation is different. We have different things going on in our lives, and it's often important that you consult with your own, financial advisor, or in this case, do your own due diligence to make sure that what you hear is the best thing for you, and, make your own decisions as you please. Now, here's the thing. In the past couple of years, we've seen interest rates at around 4-5%, and we have been able to use some of that to at least keep up with inflation, or at least stay ahead of inflation. And that is the benefit of a high yield savings account, because at least if you have good interest or APY being paid to you, then it may make sense to leave that money without taking as much risk. But you also have to realize that if we could look back, all right, at things that has happened, especially in other forms of investment, whether it's cryptocurrency, whether it's in the stock market, they've also really performed well this year, despite the volatility we've experienced, despite the April 1st, the Liberation Day announcement, despite all of that, we've seen the market perform so well. But guess what? It may not suit everyone to be in a very volatile environment, so they put their money in a savings account so that they can maybe reach a goal, like I mentioned. But what is now happening is that inflation, unfortunately, keeps going higher. Based on the PCE report that came out this past week, one of the things that that is now known to us is that inflation is slowly rising, whether it's in foods and services, energy, and the like. So things are getting more expensive. And guess what? The Feds would have to do something. Now, recently, the Feds made a rate cut. And that rate cut is something that we've all been looking forward to, because guess what? If you're trying to borrow money, or at least on your credit card, or buy a new car, things like that, or buy a house, all those things cost a lot of money to fund because of the high interest rates that you get. But what is different now is the Feds are slowly, easing off and bringing down this interest rate. Now, the projection is that in October, there will be another rate cut, and there will be another one in September. But all of that is still based on the data that comes out between now and then. And as we've seen, the job report that came out this week, unemployment report that came out this week, was somewhat of a, not so shocking. We expected number was 235, they got 218. And of course, the inflation number came out to be showing that it's going higher. So the Feds are caught in this situation where they want to keep the employment rate stable, but at the same time, they want to bring down inflation. And the way they do that is, of course, work with the interest rates that they have to either adjust rate up or readjust rate down. But where is this going with what I'm about to share with you, the high yield savings account? Well, as they bring rates down, what happens is that your yield on your savings goes down. So if we look at this that we have by Goldman Sachs, it says here, grow your cash reserve with Marcus high yield savings account, 3.65%. And this is one of the best, I'm not saying the best, this is one of the best out there, that you can get your money packed in a safe place. It's not exposed to the volatility, but you will at least be beating inflation. But by how much, you may ask? Well, from the numbers we're seeing now, year over year, inflation is around 2.9%, between 2.7 to 2.9, depending on if you're looking at the core PCE or you're looking at the core or just the PCE numbers. So in that case, we are only slightly ahead of the inflation. So if you could round that up to about 3%, let's say inflation is around 3%, which honestly I think is more about 3 plus, right? But let's just go with that, 3%. You're only beating that by about 0.65%, which means 3% of your money that you have sitting in the savings account is getting eaten up by just inflation. So whatever you can afford now, well, you would have less of that, or you can afford less of it next year because of just inflation. So this is where sometimes it is important to go back and look at your account and say, hey, where do I stand with this? And what do I want to do? Because these numbers, even though it looks like, yeah, 3.65% is good, but it's only good when inflation was 2%, right? But now we're seeing inflation closer to 3%. And that means that we are not beating inflation by much. And it is also important, if the Fed decides to lower interest rates come October and come December, guess what happens to this yield? It goes lower. But inflation keeps going up. Now, according to the Feds, they are saying that, or projecting that there will be a one-time increase impact of tariffs in goods and services, or cost of goods and services. Is that true? We don't know yet. But guess what? This tariff thing has been a moving target because it's affecting different parts of the economy, whether it's in food, or whether it's in energy, or whether it's in products or services, and all these other aspects or sectors of the economy are slowly being affected by these tariffs. So that means that, yes, it may be a one-time increase that we see, but when do we see that number? And we're expecting that it's going to be a one-time increase, and then of course maybe inflation starts to go back down again. Hopefully, because remember the target rate is 2%. But how are we going to get to 2% if all we see is a rise or an increase month over month and year over year? And then one thing to also that is important, let's even take out tariff. Let's exclude tariff, right? Impact or the effect of tariff on inflation. From what we know, inflation will continue, or the cost of goods and services will continue to rise by around 2%. So whether you like it or not, there's already a 2% baked into all of this that will cause inflation, that will cause the cost of goods and services to rise. So yes, we are talking about tariff as one of the main reasons why things will get more expensive. But guess what? Naturally, or at least just based on how the economy works, right? Things will slowly get more expensive. So let's not blame just tariff. We have to look at everything as a whole and realize that yes, there might be a portion of tariff that adds to all of this, but that is not the only thing. So what do we do? Do you want to leave your money packed in the savings account and just let it sit? Or do you want to start to use that money towards opportunities that will give you better yield on your money? As we know, bonds haven't really done well. I mean, they're slowly kind of showing some signs of life now, but in the past couple of years, it's been somewhat flat to negative in most places. And that also means that if you have just let your money in a bond account or in a savings account, you haven't really done much. The stock market this year has done quite well. And if I look at return of the S&P 500 this year, it's been amazing in 2025. I would show that right now, and let me do this. All right, it says here the S&P 500 is performing well in 2025 with a year-to-date return of 12% through September 12, 2025. That's it right there. So 12% so far. Now, of course, this can change. We don't know if that is, if this is what it's going to hold through the rest of the year. But the point here is 2025 has done well. 12% is great. Mind you, forecasters expect a positive but more moderate annual total return for the year. With analysts like Goldman Sachs forecasting around approximately 10% total return for 2025. That is still amazing. So with your money sitting in a bank account making 3.65% with the potential of it actually dropping lower before the end of the year, you may want to consider other opportunities. That is something I just wanted to share with you. If you have found value in this one, please don't forget to drop a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way, and I'll see you in the future one.